Okay, everyone, it's Friday and we are the Celtic way with the briefing. And it's me, Hamish. We've got Tony and Ryan. We're back up to all three of us guys. These have been kind of in and out all week, the two of you. I don't know if you've ever done a full week's work, the two of you. You just always seem to be taking time off, unlike me, who's always here. I'm a regular fixture now on the Celtic way. But it is good that you've joined me for this one. Thanks for getting out of your beds. Tony, how's things?
I'm fine. I think we're working the Gary Gillespie rotas for those who are old enough to remember Gary Gillespie's career at Celtic.
Right.
He was kind of
40 seconds in, and you've already lost both of us. Fair play. Less than a minute today. That's excellent.
He was a kind of 1 in, 9 out type player, So yeah, I think we're working on that kind of rota.
What does that mean? 1 in 9? Oh, right, injured for 9.
Yeah, I would play one game and then he'd be like injured for the next 9, and then he would play another game, that kind of thing, So it is what it is.
Yeah, bit like Marco Tellio, maybe.
Yeah.
Or does he even play the one?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You adapt it to suit whatever.
It's about 1 minute.
Yeah.
What 1 minute in, 9 games out. The reason I bring up Marco Tellio is big news here actually in Australia is that Graham Arnold is named his 26-man squad for the Asian Cup. Marco Tellio is included, meaning that he will miss some matches for Celtic at the start of 2024, and you can write your own punchlines in there. We're going to, badly miss him, I think, because he's been a regular fixture so far this season. So I don't know how we're going to cope with him going away to the Asian Cup. Joking aside, Ryan, it's what you reckon. It's good news for Marco Tellio, a wee opportunity to play football if he can get a game.
I think so, because I think he's getting more of a chance of playing football for Australia, strangely enough, than he is for playing for Celtic at the moment. And that's quite concerning because of the fact of the wing situation that's currently at the club. It shows how far out of the picture that he is. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery. He's just a change of surroundings and a time to train with people maybe he's more familiar with. I'm trying to make excuses for him here. We've not seen any of him. The fact that it's a change of scenery could be the best thing for him, and he could come back like a new signing, even though he is a new signing from about 5-6 months ago. You never know. It's just time to spin the dice with Tellio in that regard, and let's see if he can make a positive impact in the Asia Cup and come back a better player for it at Celtic. Fingers crossed.
I've been chatting to a few people here at Melbourne City that know Tellio quite well, and they're a wee bit surprised he's not made more of an impact at Celtic. One of them's actually been speaking to him a little bit, and Tellio himself feels that he's kind of disappointed, probably stating the obvious, but he's disappointed he's maybe not favoured more by Brendan Rodgers. We're still really to see him, Tony. We've only really seen him for that, what was it, against Motherwell, I want to say, when he came on as a sub.
Yeah.
What? It's very early to judge him, despite the fact he's been here for 6 months. But we've not seen much of him. But what do you think, Tellio?
Well, it is a curious case, isn't it? Because he was lauded as Australia's next big thing, wasn't he? He was supposed to be a winger of repute. You saw the highlights reel, as with everybody, they always look great. And you thought, this is a guy who could excite us. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you heard was the manager saying Tellio's carrying an injury. I mean, nobody said that when he signed that he was carrying an injury. And then the next thing you heard, the next bit of news, and you were thinking, okay, fine. But then it seemed to drag on, and you were wondering why did they sign an injured player? And then, he's just not made the impact when Celtic could have been doing with a winger. With the likes of Maida and Abada both getting injured, and you just think to yourself, well, and I always put faith in place in the manager talking about watching players in training. I really do, and he says it himself. He bases a lot of team selection on that. So you've got to think that Tellio's not impressed him enough to even get any kind of nod. And I think Ryan could be right. Going away with your... Billy Connolly used to always say, stay a while with your own folk, that kind of thing. So maybe that's what he needs. Go away and be with his own folk, familiar surroundings, familiar players, just to kickstart something, just to kickstart a run of games. Hopefully he can play an Asian Cup, come back, revitalise, refreshed and ready to go, maybe for the second part of the season. So it might not be such a bad thing, but as you say, there is nothing to judge him on, is there? So I'll reserve judgment on that, but it's just a curious case why we kind of signed an injured player at the time who's just not featured at all.
Yeah, and I thought he kind of looked all right in that, 10-15 minutes against Motherwell as well. And, when we've been struggling so much with our wingers, you would maybe have expected to see him a little bit more. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Hopefully he gets that opportunity. I'm surprised he was called up for Australia. I'm not sure they're blessed with attackers and wingers at the moment. And I'm not even sure he will feature that much, to be honest. I get the impression that there maybe kind of have some other options, but he's there, and it might be good, as you say, Tony, for him to be amongst his own folk for a bit. Where is, do we know, is it in the Middle East, the Asian Cup? Is it, Qatar, is it?
I'll look it up just now. I should know this.
I'm going to say it's Qatar. I feel like it's Qatar, but I might be wrong.
AFC Asia Cup.
Pressure's on Ryan now.
Qatar. Yeah, it's Qatar.
Qatar, right, okay. That great football.
I seem to remember. I know. It's been pretty prominent in recent years, but I seem to remember them saying that when the World Cup was on. I also heard about the Asia Cup being on in the same place. I seem to remember putting 2 and 2 together with regard to that one. Players are going to have to get used to that heat again. It's a bit of a younger squad from Australia. I know they've got the Olympics coming up in a couple of years as well. So I think they're trying to go through a transition. They don't have players like Aaron Moy anymore. I think Massimo Luongo's retiring as well. So yeah, I think they're just going through a transition. They're just bringing in young players. These next 2 tournaments will be important for them in terms of bringing them through and getting them ready for the next major tournaments. And what better way to get used to it than these major tournaments?
Yeah, there's a wee bit of an outcry here because they've got like a really good crop of youngsters coming through. Maybe Tillio's one of them. There's a guy, Iron Kunda, that Bayern Munich have actually signed recently from Adelaide, and the Aussies are all kind of wanting these young players to be brought into their squad, and the manager Graham Arnold's kind of gone with the older players mainly and the ones he knows, which is quite similar probably to Steve Clarke. So yeah, Tillio's involved. We expect a few more to be going away to the Asian Cup as well. MPH Group, Navien, I should have done this at the start. Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trades specialist covering mainland Scotland. They have an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion that's just for you. If you choose them, you're choosing top tier efficiency. You know that by now. A free Navien Internet Controller. Navien are pretty good. They're going for the Product of the Year at the H&V News Awards, which is of the heating world. What is it of the heating world, guys?
The Oscars. Oscars of the heating world.
The Oscars of the heating world.
As we believe, yes, indeed.
Yes. And MPH offer flexible finance options for you, so you can gear up for the chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien. Fran Alonzo on the verge of quitting Celtic FC women, apparently going to American outfit Houston Dash, very, very American name. I think they've got a bit of money there as well. He's been at Celtic for 4 years. He's won 3 domestic cup competitions, I think 2 Scottish Cups and a League Cup. Just missed out on the SWPL title last season. What would you make of that, Ryan? He's quite a big personality, I guess, and he's been kind of synonymous with the women's team.
Yeah, he's been synonymous with the rise of the women's team as well over the past couple of years. I remember the women's team was one of the only positives out of that season that shall not be named. I remember everybody seemed to get behind the women's team. And that season, even last season with the final day, that was such an interesting thing to be a part of. I was lucky enough to be at that game with the Celtic end, obviously, as well. There was an excitement and a real anticipation in the stadium for what was going on, which was absolutely brilliant to see. It's good to see the women's game improving and getting bigger with more exposure. It's happening all over the world, and it's good that it's happening in Scotland as well. You've got to thank Fran Alonzo for his time. Obviously, it's a bigger deal over in America, you would say. The US national team, the US women's national team are basically like celebrities over there. So if you can get involved with that domestic league, then, you can't really blame them. I think they're an affiliate club of the Houston Dynamos as well. I think the same owner of the Houston Dynamos, they have the same colour scheme as well. I checked their badge yesterday.
Is that orange?
Yeah, orange and black, which is the same as the Houston Dynamos. I remember, I think it was Owen Coyle that managed them at one point as well. It's it's definitely something that's on the rise, even in America as well. Football in general is on the rise in America, or soccer as they would call it over there. I know Tony hates that word, but that's what they call it over there. It is getting bigger, and that's good to see, because the more the merrier in that regard. The World Cup's going over to that side of the world very soon as well. So you're just going to see it grow and grow over the years, I think.
So you're tipping Fran Alonzo to win the World Cup? That's what I'm hearing from you.
Maybe. You never know. He's in probably a better place to get that job in the first place. But I'm wishing him all the best. He's done a good job at Celtic women's team, and he deserves his opportunity. He might have taken the club as far as he could. Some of the results have been faltering a bit recently. Yeah. So maybe that was down to the fact that there was speculation on him leaving the club. Maybe that's been going on in the background, but he's done a good job, and I think everybody will wish him all the best if and when he moves stateside.
Yeah, we got this one in from Robert saying, sad to see Fran go, has really brought the ladies on and has some heart. There are rumours about a lack of funding being the reason for him leaving. Really? Surely not at Celtic, a lack of funding. He was a big personality, Tony, wasn't he? Like, he was always good to deal with, and I feel personally it's important the next manager, be it male, female, has that personality to bring it on.
Big shoes to fill, Hamish. You could canvass the Celtic supporters about former ladies team football managers. They couldn't name them, but they could name Fran Alonzo, couldn't they? He really raised the profile of Celtic women's team, and everybody got behind it. And as Ryan said, that wonderful atmosphere that they created on the last day title cliffhanger. And he was largely responsible for that. He gave that wonderful interview that time when he burst out singing as well. Some wonderful moments. So he really wore his heart on his sleeve, and he took Celtic in, and I think, like everybody else, maybe not a Celtic supporter when he came, but he certainly left a Celtic supporter, and I think that's a wonderful thing that the club does. But he reciprocated that with his passion and his heart, as the commenter said there. And I think everybody saw that, and you saw how invested he was in it. And I think Celtic should say, as Ryan said, we owe him a depth of gratitude, say thanks for that, and for raising the profile of the women's game. It has been raised all over the world, but Celtic in particular. And I think the only thing that will irk him is the fact that he never won the title. They came ever so close, but what a wonderful time he's had in the 4 years. And I think everybody involved with Celtic will remember him fondly. We wish him well and wish him every success, because he came and did the job that he was meant to do, and he did it with a pride and a passion. And he ends leaving. Well, he leaves loving the club. That's all you can ask for, Hamish, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and he leaves the club, I think, in a much, the team in a much better state than they were when he joined. So a good 4 years. We wish him all the best. All right, we've got a number of comments in about the Green Brigade and the North Curve. I don't think we've had any confirmation, but it seems very much like the Green Brigade are going to be back in place at Celtic Park for tomorrow's game against Livingston. Wee bit of kind of chat a fair bit of chat online. The North Curve tweeting as well about a curtail before tomorrow's game, alongside the caption Adeste Fidelis, which is Latin for "O come all ye faithful," apparently.
Yep.
So they seem to be confident. They're certainly going to be doing a march to the game. And I think it's pretty fair to say they'll be back at Celtic Park. Does that make you feel you're looking forward to the game more tomorrow? Does it raise your excitement, Ryan? Where do you stand on it?
100%. Yeah, I've got to just be more excited about that due to the fact that the Green Brigade could be back in the game. I think they're so important. I know there's some negatives that they bring. And some of the safety concerns that the club outlined in their letter to the individuals that were involved, but I just think there's more pros than cons when it comes to the Green Brigade. They bring an unrivaled atmosphere. So do the boys as well. The two of them, the boys have been in solidarity with the Green Brigade since the Green Brigade had their season tickets suspended. If it is to be the case, I'm going to cover myself a wee bit. They will be at the ground in some capacity. I know they'll walk to the ground. Hopefully they get into the ground and they start making noise, because it could possibly be the loudest game against Livingston that there's ever been, apart from maybe a semi-final or a final or whatever. But yeah,
Livingston don't make them.
I was actually at a League Cup final, Celtic v Livingston, or a semi-final. That was actually one of my first games at Hampden. So, That was ages ago. I found the ticket quite recently.
Did Livy win that? 2004 was it? Did they not win the cup in 04 or something?
They beat Hibs in 2002, 03, I think.
Okay.
In the final, they beat them 2-0 in the final. Yeah, Hibs, because Hibs knocked Rangers out in the semi-final in penalties. I remember that, Scott Brown.
Might have been the year after.
Okay. Yeah, but Celtic played. I think they played them in the Scottish Cup semi, and the Celtic won 3-1. I'm sure. From the darkest recesses of my mind.
I just think it'll be such a positive to have the Green Brigade back when they do return. If that is Saturday or if it is another day, then it'll be such an improvement to the overall atmosphere. I think you'll see a boost on the park as well as off the park. The atmosphere will be good. I think the players will feed off the fact that there's a bit more of an atmosphere, because there's no two ways about it. Celtic Park is quiet without the Green Brigade present. It's like a library, people have spoke about, and I tend to agree. The sooner that atmosphere comes back, and the atmosphere is generated by that small band of supporters, then that's all the better. We need everybody pulling in the same direction, because this is a big couple of games coming up. You know, you've got Livingston, then I think it's Dundee, then Rangers. Everybody's got to be in the same direction, and it's got to be a siege mentality going into that game on the 30th. If everybody's on the same boat, then I think it gives Celtic the best possible chance of getting out of there with maximum points in the 3 games.
We've obviously had a fair bit go wrong recently on the pitch, Tony, and you know, the Green Brigade being there or not being there, you know, that isn't the reason we're you know, struggling at the moment. But you know, for me, the atmosphere that's created has certainly fed into the performances and that kind of feeling at the club. It's kind of hard to put your finger on, but there's just been I don't know if malaise is the right word. There's just been a bit of a kind of feeling at the club ever since, you know, the ultras were banned. And I know we won't go into the reasons for that, because that's quite a divisive topic. But the fact that they were banned, I think, has had some sort of effect on, certainly on the atmosphere. And I genuinely believe it's fed into some of the performances as well.
Without a doubt, players feed off it, don't they? I've said this many times. What teams suffer the most during the season that shall not be named? Celtic. Because they tie in with each other, they feed off each other. And we said on Monday that something had to change about Saturday. And I know it's off the field, but that could be the spark and the catalyst that Celtic need, you know, to beat Livingston convincingly, with hopefully the Green Brigade and the boys back, the noise back, the colour back, the atmosphere back. And it's something, as you say, that I think it can only help. Because I don't think it's too melodramatic to say malaise. I think it has been a malaise, because the performances just haven't been there since the Green Brigade and the boys, those members were banned. So I just hope everybody can now get on the same page and go through this festive period getting the results that we all want. And I think it's a good thing. And you're right, that's exactly what that Latin phrase means, "O come all ye faithful." You're talking to a Latin scholar here, so there you go, just to flash my credentials at you in some shape or form. Yes, it's the first thing I put in the group chat last night, wasn't it, Ryan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I put it in.
I really need added to that group chat. It sounds a hoot.
We use Google Translates. You're better than me, Tony.
But we were just speculating as to whether we thought that was confirmation of them getting back in, and I said, well, the Latin phrase means "O come all ye faithful," so I think you can take it from that's what it means. So that's but we'll add you to the group chat if you want, Hamish. If you know, it's up to yourself.
Does Latin come up often?
Not particularly, no. But it's not exactly a mastermind specialist chosen subject, but I'd be right in there if it was, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Brown Warrior saying, if you're reliant on fans to get a result, then I'm sorry, the tail is wagging the dog. Listen, I get that point of view. I'm not saying that, you know, we need the minute the fans come back, the performances are going to improve and the results going to improve. And equally, I'm not saying that just because the Green Brigade weren't there, it gives the players an out or anything like that. I'm just saying it genuinely has been a factor in the performances. It's not the biggest factor. The biggest factor is that we're not very good at football at the moment, and that's down to, you know, things. And someone else pointed out, you know, we beat Feyenoord with no Green Brigade there. I get all of that. I just think we're all agreed that for me, it can only be a good thing to have everyone back at Celtic Park. The atmosphere tomorrow, I think, is going to be really good. as you say, Ryan, I think people are going to feel up for it again, possibly for the first time maybe since the Atletico Madrid game. The support are really going to be, certainly at home, the support are really going to be up for it. And I'm going to say it now, my big weekend prediction, I think we'll get a big reaction from the team tomorrow, a better performance from the team. And I think not this time tomorrow, but a few hours later in the day tomorrow, I think we'll feel a good bit better about ourselves.
I hope so. Yeah, Liam Scales was saying at his press conference yesterday that it's been a tough week, but it's also been a good week in the fact that they've had a whole 7 days, or they will have had a whole 7 days to digest the Hearts result and think about the result. I just hope that even though the last result wasn't against Livingston, that revenge on the Scottish Premiership is on the cards, and Celtic come out annoyed with the fact that they've been beaten twice in their past 2 games in the league. If they've been struggling to digest that for the 7 days, then they'll come out with a passion and an anger. You're just hoping that if they can control that and control the controllables
channel
in the game. Yeah, channel it. That's exactly the word I was looking for. The words were there, I just couldn't find them. If they can channel that energy, that positive energy, and the angry energy as well, then I think they can go out and get a couple of goals against what is really a struggling Livingston side at the moment. I know they got a point 2 games ago, but they're really struggling at the bottom, and they could get cut adrift if results go against them this weekend. So it's up to Celtic to put the pressure on David Martindale and his side, and by doing that, it's by playing well at home and getting goals as a result.
Hamish, it strikes me that this week's been a bit of a home truth week. I can imagine it's been a cards on the table week. You know how sometimes players talk about things have been said. It wouldn't surprise me in the aftermath of the Livingston game, whoever they speak to, they say we all get a chance to have our say and just air their grievances, because sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need people pinned up against the dressing room wall, and and guys to say their piece and say, look, some of these might not like this, and include the manager and staff and all that. So it strikes me that this 7 days has maybe been a kind of clear the air, because losing once is fine, but when it starts to go to 2 games and the performances deteriorate, then you really do need to sort of say, right, what's going wrong here? What do we think? And open it out to the wider group. And I think this week has been a bit of soul searching, a bit of navel gazing, and players just maybe saying, and I think maybe that's what Liam Scales was hinting at yesterday, that without saying an awful lot, but sort of saying, right, cards on the table time, everybody's had their say. And I think from that, you'll get that reaction, and if it's channeled in the right way, then like you, Hamish, I think at some point tomorrow, Celtic and their supporters will feel a lot better about themselves, definitely.
Yeah, I think we'll get a good indication of that tomorrow from the performance. Yeah. I mean, if it's that same laboured, lacking quality, lacking energy kind of performance, it'll be very clear that something like that hasn't taken place, or if it has, that the players are still not that bothered, and then if it is like that tomorrow and we don't see any sort of signs of stuff being different, it's quite worrying, let's be honest. After how last weekend went, things have to be different tomorrow. I'm not saying we have to be perfect performance and win 5-6-0 and all that, but just a bit more quality, a bit more enthusiasm for the game, start getting the smile on people, the players' faces, the fans' faces, and hopefully give us a bit of confidence going forward.
You want to see a tempo to tomorrow, don't you? Allied to a result and a performance mainly. But if you get a tempo, you get that reaction. As you say, you'll know within the first 15-20 minutes if that has taken place, and if it hasn't, then you do worry. But I think you'll see a marked difference tomorrow the way Celtic come out the traps. I could be wrong on that, but I just get a feeling that I think that's what Liam Scales was kind of saying yesterday. Ryan, you think so yourself?
Yeah, he was. I think he was channeling the whole of the dressing room. He looked quite tired in his press conference, as if they've really been working hard this week to try and make things right. The thing that I want to see on Saturday is a play style and an identity, because it just seems like recently, apart from maybe the Feyenoord game, but they rode their luck a bit in that game. Feyenoord had a lot of chances, but Celtic got the right result on the night. I just want to see a play style, a tempo. I'm throwing out all these cliches here, I know that, but sometimes they just look like 11 individuals on the pitch. They've definitely looked like that in the past 2 league games. I'd like them to go back to the way that they were playing against potentially, even not as far back as Hibs. Think about that Hibs game. They beat Hibs 4-1, and that was a decent performance. The Aberdeen game 6-0. I know Aberdeen were poor on the day, but I thought Celtic were good for the vast majority of that game. If they can get up to those levels and really prey upon a team that is struggling in Livingston, Celtic have got to see this as an opportunity tomorrow to get back on form. Kyogo's got to see this as an opportunity to go back on form tomorrow. His goal record is nothing to shout about this season, so it's up to him to change that and get back to the top of the scoring charts, really, because that's his bread and butter. His bread and butter is scoring goals, and he's not been doing that as much this season, so it's up to him to change that. But yeah, it's a big opportunity tomorrow. If there is no response, then I think there's more questions that need to be asked, maybe further down the line, because he's clearly not getting a tune out of these players. But I'll reserve that until after the game. But if there is a good response, then it puts Celtic in good stead for the upcoming games. That big game on the 30th. I know you've got to still go to Dens Park and get the job done, which is not a given. But that game on the 30th is absolutely massive, isn't it?
It is. Maestro there saying, show determination, pace and press. Honestly, if we press from the front. Have you guys noticed a wee change in the mentality of the Celtic support over the last few days? Certainly from the kind of frustration and despondency of the weekend against Hearts. It feels like everyone's kind of raring to go again. Let's get to Celtic Park tomorrow and let's get this title bid back on track. Tony, you're usually the positive influence.
Yeah, I think there's been a kind of, from reading between the lines with Liam Scales, I think there's been a refresh pressed here, say, right, that's it. This is unacceptable. We need to get our heads back in the race here, and get clear. I mean, Monday, you and I, we were pretty despondent, weren't we? Really despondent on Monday.
Yep.
You come on and you say
that's
you're
what
struggling.
I mean. I feel
you were struggling for positive, but now you're, I think every game day that approaches you, you're always up for it, but there are times when you're not looking forward to it. Monday we weren't looking forward to it. We were thinking, why are the Celtic supporters dreading a game against Livingston? Today I'm like, bring it on. I would want to play it right now. I've got that feeling that they're going to get their heads back in the ball game again, and I'll watch with interest today what the manager says, because I think it could be interesting too, in terms of his delivery and what, and see, because lots of people are saying that he's not looked the same, that Brendan Rodgers hasn't looked the same either in his last public press conference or addresses. So I'll see today if there's a sparkle, a twinkle in the eye and a sparkle about what he's saying. But I'm like you, I'm buoyed by this. I'm thinking, right, come on, they've got 4 games before the break. I want 12 points, Hamish. It starts tomorrow, and I don't see any the recent performances are the reason why you think that they might not get it, but I still think this team are good enough to turn it on and win those 4 games and take it into take us into the winter break feeling a whole lot better about ourselves.
If we win our next 4 games, we'll feel brilliant going into the winter break. Suddenly, I mean, as bad as we're feeling at the moment, as bad as we were on Monday, we'll be feeling great because we'll be back, in a really good position at the top. So that's the opportunity. Nothing's been, won or lost in terms of the league at the moment, and there's an opportunity for the team, starting tomorrow, and that's the feeling I've got. You've both got it. Hopefully, the players share that because they're so much better than they've shown in recent weeks. Chill Pill, Hamish, we are bored now. Is that about Brendan Rodgers' side or is that about us 3 chatting away? What do you think? Surely not about us, guys.
Maybe both.
It can't be about us. I mean, the 3 amigos are on every morning, try to entertain. It must be about Brendan. I'm a betting man. I'd bet that was about Brendan Rodgers and certainly not the 3 guys on the screen.
Yeah. Ryan, what you want to see from Brendan Rodgers or hear from Brendan Rodgers later?
Yeah, I've got to agree with Tony. I want to see the twinkle in the eye, a more positive outlook. I just want to see a wee bit of consistency from Brendan Rodgers because I just think he's been a bit all over the place in press conferences recently. And we've spoken about that with the, with the anger after the St Johnstone game to the sort of, shirking of the Kilmarnock game, and then it's going from one extreme to the next, kind of like it's a microcosm of the season as a whole, in terms of that roller coaster going up and down. It seems as if Brendan Rodgers is going up and down with every single press conference. I just want to see a leveled and balanced manager today. I want to hear the optimism about the upcoming games, because I think if the manager's optimistic, then that will in turn go to the fans, and it'll boil down to the fans, and they'll feel optimistic about tomorrow's game. If he's feeling good about things, I reckon that a vast majority of the support will feel a lot better about things as well. Obviously, it's down to the players on the pitch once they cross that white line, but if he's feeling confident before the game, then it makes it better to write about as well, because Tony and I do Q&As, and it's always better to hear him speaking positively rather than negatively, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been confirmed he was talking about the football and not us, so that's a relief. We'll find out tomorrow, Tony, won't we? We'll find out when that game starts, and we'll hopefully see the reaction.
Exactly, and that's all you can hope for, isn't it? You want a reaction, and a real positive reaction. The crowd will be back. We've alluded to the Green Brigade coming back. The ingredients are there, Hamish, to go and put on a show. The crowd will do their bit, and you hope that transmit on the pitch to the players, and they respond to that. And hopefully, as I say, a lot of things have been spoken about this week, and they address those issues. And one performance won't fix it, but it's certainly a start, isn't it? You need 4 before you go on the winter break. Start with the first one and give the fans something really positive against Livingston to take into Dundee, and then we take it from there.
We do indeed. Where are you guys taking it from this point? Have you got a wee video lined up later? Is that the plan?
We'll probably do a wee post press conference one. We'll probably talk about the Liam Scales press conference as well. Maybe just touch upon that, because that was yesterday afternoon. Obviously, they've spread them out. They had Liam Scales yesterday and Brendan Rodgers today. But we'll be on later on in the evening, maybe even just for 15-20 minutes, talking about what Brendan Rodgers had to say, some injury updates, and maybe a first match preview before the big game against Livingston tomorrow, because it is a big game.
It is indeed. I'm looking forward to it.
Contrary to popular belief, Hamish, we're going to go and do a day's work. I know,
unbelievable. Call the cops. Dear. Right, we'll catch up. Well, I'll catch up with you next week at some stage, guys. Have a great Christmas, by the way.
Yes.
And I'll chat to you at some stage, and hopefully Celtic get the big result on Saturday. Right, thanks everyone for tuning in, commenting, etc. Remember to give us a wee sub as well, and we will chat to you very soon.
Cheers.